Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into the world of solar energy.
Sounds bright.
Yeah, it does. We've got excerpts from Solar Energy, Harnessing the Sun's Power. Um, Practical Solutions for a Sustainable Future, I think is the subtitle.
Okay.
We see solar panels everywhere now,
Yeah.
but this book, it goes way deeper.
Interesting.
Like whole farms running on solar,
Oh, wow.
remote villages getting electricity for the first time.
Really?
And there's this family in Birmingham, I think it was. They're saving a ton of money with solar.
So, what's the catch?
That's what I want to find out. So, basics first. What is solar energy exactly?
Well, at its simplest, it's capturing the sun's energy,
Right.
turning it into, usable power,
Uh-huh.
either electricity for your house or heat, like hot water.
I see. So, cleaner than burning oil or coal? That's obvious.
Much cleaner.
But is it as good? Like, is it as powerful and is it affordable even?
It's getting there, for sure.
Okay.
Technology's come a long way. Solar panels, batteries, they're all getting cheaper.
I guess that's why you see them more and more.
Yeah, it's becoming more accessible every day.
So there are different types of solar, right?
Yeah, for sure. Not just the panels on rooftops.
Right. What else is there?
Well, the two main types are photovoltaic systems, which are like your typical solar panels,
Uh-huh.
and then there's solar thermal systems.
Okay. Photovoltaic. So those are the panels, the ones you see everywhere.
Yep. They use, usually it's silicon.
Silicon.
Yeah, it's a semiconductor material. And they directly convert sunlight into electricity.
Oh, so the sunlight hits it and bam, electricity.
Well, not that simple.
Okay.
There's a thing called an inverter. It does a little magic trick.
What does it do?
So the panels, they actually make, like, DC electricity,
Hmm.
direct current.
Mm-hmm.
But our appliances, they run on AC, alternating current.
I see.
So the inverter, it kind of translates the DC to AC.
Ah, that makes sense. So I can plug in my stuff.
Exactly. Your phone, lights, even your electric car, if you've got one.
Okay, cool. So then what about the solar thermal? You said those are different.
Yeah, so those are about capturing heat from the sun.
Heat,
Yeah.
not turning it into electricity.
Well, sometimes they can, but usually it's more for, heating your water.
Oh.
They have these collectors,
Okay.
like those tube things you see on some roofs.
Mm-hmm.
So they absorb the heat.
I see.
Then that can heat your water directly.
So you can have a hot shower from the sun?
Yep. Or sometimes they use the heat to make steam, and that spins turbines, and then you get electricity.
Oh, wow. So you could have both a thermal system for hot water and PV for your lights and stuff.
You could. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. But what about all this new stuff I keep hearing about, like bifacial panels
Oh, yes. Stuff is evolving really fast.
and perovskites or something like that? They sound like science fiction.
They are pretty cutting edge, some of them.
Yeah, so tell me more about bifacial panels. What makes them different?
Well, think of them as like the overachievers of solar.
How so?
Most panels, they only absorb sunlight on one side, right?
Yeah.
Bifacial, they can get it on both sides,
Oh, so they get double the sun.
basically. Especially good in areas with lots of reflection,
Like what?
like snowy places or even just light-colored roofs.
Interesting. So they're soaking it up from every angle.
Exactly.
And what about perovskites? That name is wild.
So perovskite solar cells, they use a totally new type of material,
Oh, wow.
and it's cheaper to make and really good at converting sunlight.
Mm.
But the cool part is they can be super thin and flexible.
Wait, really?
Yeah, so you could put them on windows, like building facades,
Wow.
even clothes, potentially.
Solar-powered jacket. I need that.
Maybe someday.
Okay, but seriously, are these going to replace the regular panels soon?
It's a good question.
Hmm.
They have huge potential,
Yeah.
but they're still new.
Okay.
There are challenges, like making them last longer, figuring out how to make a lot of them.
Yeah. Right. So lots of research still to do.
Yeah, but it's definitely one to watch.
It sounds like it. So much innovation happening.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But how's it actually helping people?
Oh, in tons of ways.
Yeah.
It's not just about a few panels here and there.
Right.
Businesses, farms, whole communities are using solar now.
So it's going mainstream.
Yeah, it's about finding the right solar solution for the situation.
I see. So like for homes, what are people doing?
Well, rooftop solar is still the most common, those panels we talked about.
Yeah, do they actually work well? Like can they power your whole house?
They can. And with the right setup, you can even sell your extra energy back to the grid.
No way. So you're like a mini power plant.
Kind of. That's how some people make money with solar.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Not just saving on your own bills, but making money too.
Yeah, the economics are changing a lot.
I bet. This book mentioned a family in Birmingham, the Patels, right?
The Patels, yes. They're a great example.
What did they do?
They got a pretty typical system. 5-kilowatt solar panels with battery storage.
Okay, and what happened?
Well, their electricity bills down 60%.
60%.
Yeah, and get this. They actually make so much extra energy now, they sell it back.
No way! So they're making money.
Yeah, basically energy independent and making a profit.
Wow, that's incredible. But what about when it's cloudy or at night?
That's where the battery comes in. It stores the energy from the day.
Ah, so you're never without power.
Exactly. You've got your own backup.
That's so cool. But what about people who can't put panels on their homes?
Yeah, good point.
Like renters or people without the right kind of roof?
Right. Well, there's community solar projects.
Community solar, what's that?
So it's like a big solar farm, but it's shared. A
Ah,
bunch of people can subscribe to it,
yeah.
get their energy from there.
So even if I can't put panels up myself, I can still use solar.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So everyone can be part of it.
Yeah, it's great for spreading access.
What else is good about that way of doing it?
Well, for one, you don't pay for the whole system up front.
Right.
It's good for people who don't have ideal roofs, too.
Uh-huh.
And often it creates local jobs, building and running the farm.
So it's good for the community in multiple ways.
Exactly. Clean energy plus the economic benefits.
The book mentioned a project in Devon doing something like that.
The Devon Project, yeah. They powered over 500 homes.
Wow.
And it really brought the community together, gave people a sense of ownership.
That's fantastic. So we've got homes, communities, but what about people far from the grid?
Oh, you mean off-grid living?
Yeah, like remote areas, no power lines.
Solar is perfect for that.
It is.
Yeah, off-grid systems are like a lifeline in those places.
How does that work? Is it just like smaller panels and stuff?
It's more like a self-contained system.
Yeah.
Think of it as a mini-grid for one house or a small village.
Okay.
You've got the panels, of course,
Uh-huh.
but then you need good batteries.
Oh, right, because the sun doesn't always shine.
Exactly. So they store up the energy from the day.
I see.
And sometimes they have a backup generator, too, just in case.
It's like running on gas or something.
Yeah, usually propane or diesel for emergencies.
Gotcha. So what about people who want to use solar for, like, camping?
You can do that, too.
Really?
Yeah, portable solar kits are getting really popular.
Oh, cool. So I could power my tent with the sun.
Yeah, charge your phone, run some lights, even small appliances sometimes.
No more noisy generators.
Exactly. And they're great for emergencies, too, like if the power goes out.
I bet. The book mentioned a really amazing example of this in Kenya, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, off-grid solar is changing lives in rural Kenya.
Really?
Yeah, lots of places there don't have electricity.
Wow.
But solar's bringing light to homes, helping kids study at night, even powering small businesses.
That's incredible. It's making such a difference.
It really is.
So we've talked about homes, communities, going off-grid,
Mhm.
but it's all been about electricity, right? Can solar do other things?
Oh, definitely. Remember those solar thermal systems we talked about?
Yeah, the ones for heating water.
Right. Those can do way more than just hot showers.
Like what?
Well, agriculture's a big one.
Agriculture.
Yeah, farms are using solar in some really cool ways.
Tell me more. I'm curious.
So think about irrigation, pumping water for crops.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of places use diesel generators for that.
Oh, yeah.
Expensive, noisy, polluting.
Right.
But you could do it with solar.
Really?
Yeah, solar-powered pumps.
So it's like a green alternative.
And often that's cheaper in the long run.
Makes sense. So they're saving money in the environment.
Exactly.
Any other uses on farms?
Lots. Like greenhouses, you can power them with solar.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, consistent light and heat, so you can grow crops year-round.
Especially good for places with, like, short growing seasons.
Yep.
There was a farmer in the book in Cornwall, I think, who did all this.
Oh yeah, they went all in on solar.
How did it work out?
Amazingly, their costs were cut in half.
Wow.
And they got bigger harvests because the energy was so reliable.
That's fantastic. Okay, so solar can do so much. Homes, communities, farms.
Yep.
But can it work with other renewable energy sources like wind or hydro?
That's a great question, and it leads us to what are called hybrid systems.
Hybrid systems.
Yeah, combining solar with other renewables.
So it's like an all-star team of clean energy.
I like that. You've got solar, wind, maybe hydro, all working together.
Why is that good?
Well, each source has its pros and cons, right?
Okay.
Solar's great when the sun's out, but obviously not at night.
Right.
Wind's good when it's windy, but you can't always count on that.
Yeah.
But combine them, and they can cover for each other's weaknesses.
Makes sense. So it's more reliable overall.
Exactly. The book had an example in Scotland doing this really well.
What were they doing?
They had wind turbines and solar panels,
Uh-huh.
so they could meet their energy needs year-round, no matter the weather.
That's awesome. It's like a diversified energy portfolio.
Exactly. You don't put all your eggs in one basket?
Okay, so hybrid systems are a big part of the future.
I think so, yeah.
But let's be honest, what about the cost? Isn't solar still super expensive?
It's a common concern, but things are changing.
Really?
Yeah, the cost of solar tech has been dropping like crazy.
Hmm.
Panels, batteries, all much cheaper than they used to be.
Okay.
And when you factor in the money you save on your bills over time, it becomes a pretty good investment.
So it's not just an environmental thing, it can actually make financial sense too.
Absolutely.
Huh.
But even with lower prices, yeah, there's still upfront cost.
Right.
But there's help with that too.
Oh, how so?
Governments have all sorts of programs now, subsidies, tax breaks.
To encourage people to go solar.
Exactly. They can really cut down that initial cost.
That's good to know.
And there are new financing options too to make it more affordable.
The book had a story about a small business in Manchester. They used these incentives.
Oh yeah, they got some grants, and it was a huge success for them. Paid off the system in 5 years. Now they've got way lower energy bills.
That's awesome. Okay, so it sounds like solar has a lot going for it.
It really does. Clean energy, cheaper bills,
Yeah.
even potential to make money.
But it can't all be perfect, right? What are the downsides?
Well, no technology is perfect, of course.
It's true.
One limitation with solar is, obviously, you need sunlight.
Makes sense. What if you live somewhere cloudy all the time?
It can be a challenge.
Mm.
But battery tech is getting better, so you can store more energy for those times.
Right.
And we're also getting better at integrating solar with other renewables, like wind.
So you're not completely reliant on the sun.
Exactly.
So those cloudy days are less of a problem.
Exactly.
But what about, like, the space needed for solar panels? Don't you need a lot?
Space can be an issue, yeah, especially for bigger systems.
Right.
But panels are getting more efficient, so you need less space for the same power.
Okay.
And they're getting smaller, too, so you put them in more places.
So basically, technology is solving some of those problems.
Yeah, and people are getting creative, too.
How so?
Like the book talked about this school in Wales.
Okay.
They wanted to go solar, but the weather's unpredictable there.
Right.
So they combined solar panels with batteries and a wind turbine.
Oh, smart. So they've got multiple sources.
Yeah, sun, wind, and storage. They can pretty much always generate power.
That's awesome. Okay, so with all this happening, where's solar going in the future?
Oh, it's a really exciting time. There are tons of new things being developed.
Like what?
Well, new types of solar cells, like organic photovoltaics
Okay.
and tandem cells. These are really cool.
Tandem cells. What are those?
Imagine stacking different solar cells on top of each other.
Oh, interesting.
Each one is designed to capture a different part of the sunlight.
So you're like squeezing more energy out of it.
Exactly. It's a solar power sandwich.
I love that analogy.
They're still being developed, but they could be a game changer.
Sounds like it. So we're talking about panels that are more powerful, cheaper, and maybe even more flexible.
That's the idea.
Wow. And it feels like the whole world is realizing how important solar is.
Definitely. It's key to fighting climate change.
Right.
We need to move away from fossil fuels, and solar is a big part of that.
It's exciting to think about, but it's not just about the tech, is it?
You're right. It's about people embracing it, too.
So what can people do? Like if they want to be part of this solar future?
Well, awareness is huge. Knowing what's possible.
Like what we're doing now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Learning about the benefits, the different options.
Right.
And then there are actions, like maybe putting solar on your own roof.
Or supporting community projects like we talked about.
Exactly. Or just talking to people about it, advocating for good policies.
So everyone has a role to play.
Definitely. Every bit counts.
And the book ends by talking about this amazing project in Morocco.
The Noor Ouarzazate Solar Complex.
Yeah, it's huge, right?
Massive. Shows what's possible when you think big.
It's powering a whole region with clean energy.
Millions of people.
It's amazing what we can do with the sun.
It is. It's really inspiring.
But we've got to take a quick break now. We'll be back in a moment to talk about, like, the bigger picture of all this, what a solar-powered future actually means for the world.
It really is transformative, yeah.
It makes you think, like, what would a solar-powered future really look like?
Right. It's not just about the tech itself.
That's what I'm curious about, the bigger picture.
Well, a future running on solar, it has implications for, like, everything.
Everything.
Yeah, jobs, the economy, even geopolitics, how countries relate to each other.
Wow. Okay, unpack that for me. What kind of economic and social changes could we see?
For one, a ton of new jobs would be created.
Really?
Think about it. As demand for solar grows, you need people to make it, install it, maintain it.
So like manufacturing jobs?
Yeah, but not just that. Construction, engineering, even finance and marketing. You need it all.
So it could boost a lot of industries.
A whole new sector of the economy,
Yeah.
basically.
That's pretty exciting. What about for like developing countries? Could it help them?
It already is. In lots of places in Africa, Asia, they're using off-grid solar to bring power to villages.
Oh, right. We talked about those systems.
Exactly. And it's making a huge difference. People can have lights, cook food, kids can study at night.
Wow. So it's improving their lives in a really direct way.
Yeah, it's about empowering people, giving them opportunities.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've got jobs, economic development. What was the other thing? Geopolitics.
Right, so think about this. Right now, the world runs on fossil fuels, mostly.
Oil, coal, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and those are often controlled by just a few countries.
Meaning?
It creates power imbalances, right? Countries depend on each other for energy. It can lead to conflicts.
I see.
But solar, it's different. It's decentralized. The sun shines everywhere.
So any country could generate its own energy.
Exactly. Become more independent. That could change global politics in a big way.
Wow, that's a huge shift. Okay, so potential benefits are clear. But are there any downsides, risks we should be aware of?
Of course, no technology is perfect. There are always trade-offs.
Like what?
Well, some people worry about the environmental impact of making solar panels.
Really? How so?
Any manufacturing has an impact, right?
Yeah.
You need energy, materials, there can be some pollution.
Right.
But it's crucial to compare that to the impact of fossil fuels, which is ongoing and devastating.
So even if solar has some downsides, it's still way better than what we're doing now.
Way better. And the industry is working on making manufacturing cleaner, using recycled materials, less water.
That's good to hear. Another thing I've heard is solar isn't reliable. The sun doesn't always shine.
That's the issue of intermittency, yeah. But that's where energy storage comes in.
The batteries we talked about.
Exactly. And they're getting better all the time. Plus, you can combine solar with other renewables like wind.
So basically, a smart mix of energy sources can solve that problem.
Yeah, we're moving towards a smarter grid, able to manage different sources, make sure there's always power.
So it's not just about solar panels, it's about the whole system.
Exactly. It's about thinking holistically.
Okay, so tech is evolving, but it sounds like this transition also needs, like, political will, right? People have to be on board.
Absolutely. We need good policies to support solar public awareness campaigns.
So it's a social and political shift as much as a technological one?
Definitely. It's about changing how we think about energy.
Okay, and I'm sure there are still people who are skeptical about all this. What are some of the arguments against going solar?
There are always skeptics. That's normal. Some say solar panels are ugly, take up too much land, not efficient enough.
Those are valid points. How do you respond to that?
Well, the look of solar is changing. Panels are getting sleeker. They can blend into roofs better.
So not those big clinky things you used to see?
Yeah, design is a lot more sophisticated now. As for land use, yeah, solar farms need space, but it's way less than what fossil fuels use.
That's true. Mining and drilling take up a lot of land.
Exactly. And you can often do both on the same land, like put solar panels on grazing land.
So it's not an either situation.
Right. And the efficiency argument, well, panels keep getting better, more energy from the same area.
So a lot of the criticisms are based on outdated info.
Yeah, it's important to stay up to date. The solar industry is moving fast. Things change all the time.
It seems like we're at a real turning point. This isn't just some fad. Solar is here to stay.
I think so. The choices we make now about energy, they'll affect us for decades.
You know, what really hit home for me was that story about the Patel family becoming energy independent.
It's a great example, isn't it? They took control of their own energy, made a better life for themselves.
It shows that it's possible. Anyone can do this.
And it's not just about saving money. It's about resilience, being less dependent on the system.
Exactly. And it's inspiring to see that even small actions can add up.
Right. Every little bit helps.
The book ends by saying, imagine a world powered by the sun, clean energy for everyone.
It's a powerful vision, and it's achievable.
It feels like we have the tech, we just need the will to make it happen.
That's the key. It's not just about solar panels. It's about changing our mindset.
Well, I'm definitely feeling more hopeful after this deep dive. This has been really eye-opening.
I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll wrap up with some final thoughts and key takeaways from our solar exploration.
Okay, we're back, ready to kind of synthesize everything we've learned about solar energy. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, it really has. Lots to think about.
I'm feeling pretty optimistic, honestly. Like, we could really do this.
I agree. It's not a pipe dream anymore. It's becoming reality.
Right. So let's recap. What were the big takeaways?
Well, we started with the basics, of course.
Yeah, like what IS solar energy even? How does it work?
Right, and then the different types, from those classic panels to the newer stuff.
Like the solar thermal systems? Those are pretty cool.
And don't forget those perovskates. Still early days, but who knows what they could lead to. Right. Flexible solar panels, imagine the possibilities.
Then we looked at how it's being used, not just for homes, but for everything.
Businesses, farms, whole communities even.
And the off-grid stuff, that's really powerful, bringing electricity to places that never had it before.
Yeah, it's life-changing for a lot of people.
And then there's the cost, which is always a big concern.
But it's getting so much cheaper, and with those incentives and financing options.
It's becoming a no-brainer for a lot of people.
And of course, the environment. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, solar has an impact too, but it's way less than fossil fuels, by far.
Right, got to keep that in mind. But for me, what really stood out were the stories.
Oh, yeah, me too. Like the Patel family, becoming energy independent, even making money from it.
It shows that it's not just some abstract concept. It's actually working, changing people's lives.
Exactly. And those community projects, people working together to create their own solar farms.
It's about more than just energy. It's about empowerment, taking control.
It really is. And knowing that this is happening all over the world, it gives me hope.
Me too. So where do we go from here? What's our takeaway for the listeners?
Well, I think the question is, what can you do?
Right, how can you be a part of this?
It could be big, like installing panels on your own home,
Or supporting a local project, maybe?
or even just talking about it, spreading awareness.
Yeah, getting people excited about the possibilities.
Because the future energy is in our hands.
Yeah.
And solar is a huge part of that.
That's a great way to put it. So thank you, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive into the world of solar energy. We hope you learned something new and maybe even got inspired to take action. We'll see you next time on the deep dive, where we'll explore another fascinating topic that's shaping our world.